Yeah.
So
I know. I've been, ever since we kind of met digitally or whatever and started chatting a little bit, I've been following along. And yeah, I mean, I realized, I think Tony Williams was the one who recommended you come in.
okay.
And then, yeah, I just realized you're connected to so many different people, so many different bands. And, Mad Mike was talking about you a little bit on his episode. He was in here last week. So, yeah, man, you're a well-known dude.
Been around for about 35, 40 years.
Is that right? Playing? That long? Wow.
So there's been a couple different generations worth of things going on that I've been involved in, which is kind of fun.
Right. And I didn't realize until after the Joe Spanbauer, because before Joe Spanbauer, some friends and I wanted to go up to Shaw's, right? One of the open jams, right? We wanted to play some heavier music, but we're like, we don't know anybody who could sing that sort of shit. And lo and behold, I wasn't able to see you live because we had to take off because we had kiddos in the car that were throwing a fit. But yeah, cool stuff, man. I love heavy music. And
Started out doing that.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. 16. I mean, back then, thrash was the thing, so.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was the thing? Like, which thrash band or thrash bands were like those early inspirations that were like, dude, I got to get into this, man?
Well, the very first thing wasn't thrash. Very first thing, I'm like a 3-year-old kid playing on my grandfather's bugle.
Okay.
Wanting to play music. And then, I ended up throwing his bugle into the middle of the street, and he got crushed by a truck, and he gave me a harmonica and said, keep going. And then I went through grade school. Back then you had music class. So I went through cornet, trumpet, trombone, slide trombone. I did all of that stuff. And then when I was, I think 10 or 11, my uncle was playing some Foreigner on his 8-track in his Monte Carlo. And I was like, that's cool. So then I worked all summer and got a guitar and started getting into Foreigner and Def Leppard and early stuff like that. And then I met my best friend at like 14, and he was Slayer and, Exodus, early Exodus and all that, Anthrax, Armed and Dangerous. So it was like everything shifted.
Okay.
And then thrash became a thing, Headbangers Ball, all of that.
Yeah.
Ended up forming some thrash metal bands back in the day, and that's where that went.
My parents didn't exactly approve of me watching Headbangers Ball, but I would sneak up into the living room in the middle of the night just to watch that, man. There's so many cool bands that I picked up and learned about through that. So very cool. Yeah. Nice, man. So who's this best friend?
Wally Borgen.
Okay.
Wally Borgen, we were in a band called Avalanche together.
Okay.
Back in the early 90s.
Avalanche played at the Joe Spanbauer thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did that.
A reunion.
Very much so. I mean, the last time Joe Spanbauer actually, God rest his soul, Joe Spanbauer drug us after 20 years of not playing together and made us play one of his fabulous birthday parties.
Nice.
So we played I think it was the Doghouse in 2019. It was the first time we had played together in 20 years. Wally and I had played in many different bands together, but for Avalanche, that was the first time in like 20 years. And then when the benefit happened, it was kind of funny. I go back to Mike. I reached out and I was like to Joe, and I reached out. I'm like, what the hell? You need some? We're there. He goes, well, I'm not booking it. You got to talk to Mike. And I reached out to Mike and I said, Mike, Avalanche wants to get on this thing. And he goes, well, I don't know. There's a lot of bands. And I was like, listen, dude, Joe's going to want us on this thing. And like 5 minutes later, he comes back, you're on it.
Yeah.
So
that's what he said. He said Joe did all the final picks. There was a lot of people a little tiffy with him because they didn't get on him. He's like, look,
he's got, he had 40 years of bands under his belt. I mean, when I think we were like 20 and we started playing at Ryan's, and Joe was our sound guy at 20. And now I'm turning 55. So that's 35 years
that's a long time.
Close connection with Joe. And then Joe booked us a bunch, and he was our main guy for quite a while running sound. Wherever we'd go, we'd pull Joe to do that. And that was long before he did anything over at Main Event that turned into Pickle Park, that turned into Road 47. And there's history there. So
For sure.
and then I get a call from Scott Yauk, the lead singer of The Regime. And The Regime is like one of the biggest metal bands out of St. Paul, Minnesota. And
Really?
they were also huge with Joe Spanbauer.
Okay.
So I get a call from Scott Yauk and he goes, listen, if Joe wants to do this, I'd like to do this, but I don't have a band anymore. I was like, well, Avalanche will play that stuff for you and you can sing. And that's what ended up happening. It was basically Avalanche with Scott Yauk singing, and we just called it The Regime for that day.
Okay.
So
cool.
it was fun.
Very cool. Yeah, it's good guy. So Wally Borgen, I know the name. I don't know the person yet, but was he in there's two Iron Maiden bands. Wasn't he in one of them?
He did join Made in Minneapolis for a small minute.
Okay. And I think he just left that band. If I'm
Yeah,
not
he's got
mistaken,
Bad
so.
Bromance. That's his main.
Is that right?
now.
Okay.
And that's kind of like, he described it to me as it's all the chick rock or chick pop music, but with a metal guitar player instead of keyboards.
I like it.
So it's pretty cool.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of what we're trying to do, I guess, with our band, Hits and the Misses, is like, we're pulling some pop stuff, and we play some heavier stuff too, but we're pulling some pop stuff in, but we're metalizing it.
There you go.
And, yeah. You bang your head, shake your booty cheeks is kind of our.
Well, and the challenge to that though is still, it's like, you got to be able to, you want the guys to be interested, obviously, but you can't offset the girls. The girls got to actually really like it, not see it as just a cliche, because they won't come again. And the guys don't go without the girls.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how that is.
Right.
Guys, a sausage party or not, eventually they're going to go where the girls are.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you bring the girls, which is great. They're doing that. And as long as they're still keeping the girls, then it's going to continue to grow. I always worry that it gets a little too metal and girls go, I'll pass.
That's right. Yeah.
So you got to kind of watch that happy medium.
There's a good, I don't know what you say. Yeah. Got to keep that layer of safety around the songs.
I would think so.
Layer of approachability, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's got to be familiar enough that they go, I like this. This is good music. Not, that was nothing like Lady Gaga. So.
All right. So Lady Gaga is your favorite band.
Yeah, right. Sure. My wife would say that.
Your wife. Yeah. Cool. So your wife's not really a metalhead then?
My wife listens to everything,
Okay.
but when it comes right down to it, it's Gaga, electronica. It's stuff that makes your booty go.
Okay.
It's just she's a girl. There it is.
Yeah. Fair enough. How long have you been married?
We got married in 21, so 4 years.
Nice. Cool.
Been together way longer than that, but she finally, it was time.
It was time.
Yeah.
Nice. So, I mean, I want to go back again to kind of some of those formative years and talk about some of those early bands and influences. And you and your best friend kind of go out and you start your first band. Like, tell me about that time in your life.
Well, it wasn't even that. I mean, Wally, when I met Wally was playing drums across the street upstairs. I was just sitting on my front step and I heard drumming across the street. And, back in you just walk over and knock on the door. What's going on?
Yeah.
And that's when we met. I just knocked on the door and I was like, hey man, what's up? And we chatted and got to know each other, became best friends.
Where are you both in the cities now? Like
East side of St. Paul.
East St. Paul. Okay.
But the thing was, he's a guitar player and he had taken a couple lessons from Todd Salmonson, the lead guitar player from The Regime. Who ended up leaving The Regime, going to California, joining GIT, getting signed to Shrapnel Records. I mean, this guy, guitar player. So Wally took lessons from that guy. Within 3 months, I realized I can't keep up with Wally on guitar, so I stopped playing guitar. I was just like, well, this is ridiculous. I can't do half the stuff he does. So I ended up being a cheerleader for his band. I wasn't even in the band.
Okay.
I just went to the parties. They were called Demonic Conception, and they played basement parties. And they were playing Zoetrope and Slayer and Exodus and things like that and Megadeth. But neither of them could sing, or nobody in the band could really sing. So anything that had any real singing in it, I stepped up and sang. just at the party, guest vocalist, whatever. Did that for a while and was okay, was good at it. So then when that band disbanded, Wally and I said, all right, we're going to put something together now. And I officially became the singer of a band called Alliance. And we played all over St. Paul. And then I ended up and moving to Washington because I needed to get away.
Okay.
I was 19 years old and trapped in my ma's house and just didn't want to be there anymore. And I had an opportunity to go to Tacoma, Washington. And I was like, I'm going.
Okay.
So I went out there and, you know, right then it was 1990, start of 1990. Soundgarden had been signed. They were on tour. Nirvana had not been signed yet. Alice in Chains had not been signed yet. So that music scene was insane. Sub Pop Records, it was happening. Alice in Chains was like leprosy at the time that I got out there. They had already blown like 2 or 3 record deals and nobody wanted to touch them. And then they ended up becoming one of the biggest bands of the 90s. So I went out there and joined a band and found out about a month after I moved out there that my girlfriend back here was pregnant. She had to move out there and I started doing that and ended up coming home because I needed to focus on family. So
Okay.
yeah. Then came home and just formed Avalanche with Wally. Wanted to get right back into music. So
Okay.
that's where that came from.
So Avalanche is mid-90s, basically.
92 we formed. 93 we really started playing. And the only thing I knew then was the Regime. Because when I was 16, 17, I had gone to see the Regime and became a roadie of the Regime, became a stage manager for them and kind of did all that stuff. So when I came back in 93 or 92 and put Avalanche together, I instantly went to them and said, hey, let us open. So we started opening for the Regime at Ryan's, and then Ryan started giving us our own headline shows. And next thing you know, we're bringing in more metal bands to open for us. And Ryan's turned into this metal mecca. Before the Regime and before Avalanche and before, I guess, Porcelain God, you could include them. But before that, it was bands like Counterattack and Paragon and Obsession. It was all kind of like hard rock covers. It wasn't original music. When Avalanche kind of really broke and brought a bunch of thrash bands in, the next thing you know, they've got death metal Sundays and all kinds of metal on the weekends. And it was pretty cool. Ryan's turned into the lab, and it became a real big place for metal in St. Paul. Kind of like how First Avenue is the place for music in Minneapolis. Ryan's the lab, Station 4. That was the place in St. Paul.
Nice.
So I feel
Does this still
kind of
exist?
proud.
Is Ryan still around? Okay.
No. One of the owners in the end, Steve, I think maybe it was Willis, but Steve, when they ended, it just, the city didn't want another bar there, I don't think. So it closed down. Avalanche used to practice upstairs of that. There was a place called Lower Town Studios upstairs where all the bands that played down on a regular basis, they all wanted studios upstairs because all you had to do was load your stuff into an elevator right into the bar, right onto the stage. So
sounds pretty
we were there
yeah.
for quite a while. I think 90, 99, 2000, that's when that kind of all ended. But we had a good run. It was 7 years.
So is that kind of like, it sounds like metal in general was pretty popular in the Twin Cities around that time. Did it kind of like all kind of die out around the time that Ryan's closed?
I don't think so. I think it evolved.
Okay.
I just think it's continuously evolved. I mean, Avalanche was big in St. Paul, but we were nothing. I mean, there was Power Mad, Kubla Khan, Disturbed. There was all those other metal bands from Minneapolis that really were the main thing. I mean, we barely touched.
Disturbed is out of Minneapolis. I didn't know that.
Not the Disturbed you
Not
might be
the
thinking
Disturbed.
of.
Okay. All right.
No. The Disturbed is from Minneapolis.
I see.
The Disturbed you're thinking of from Chicago, David Draymond. No. But yeah, I mean, I feel good that we did our 7 or 8 years and wrote a couple of really cool albums. We got stuff sent all over the place. I mean, we had some stuff in Japan. We were on some French radio shows, getting into their metal playlist. There was this guy in Suriname, South America, that had us on a show down there. Then every week he would send me through our post office box all the listings of all the bands. So, we're in like the top 20 with like Maiden and Priest and all this stuff. And I'm just like, wow.
That's awesome.
For
That's pretty
five
cool.
guys from St. Paul, Minnesota, who just put something down on a disc and
Right.
mailed it somewhere. It was neat that people were listening to it, and the biggest thing I think for me, I got this magazine from Japan called Burn. It's kind of like their Kerrang or just kind of like Metal Sludge or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one of our fans had sent them a CD that I didn't even know about.
Mm.
And it got reviewed and put into that magazine. And then the magazine sent me 2 copies of that magazine. So I have this review. And then I had a friend that was dating a Japanese girl at the time and went over and said, hey, can you translate this for us? So I've got this plaque now with the name, the photo, the article, and then the English translation under it. So that's kind of cool.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Can I get a picture of that?
3 out of 4. Yeah,
Can I
I've
get a
got it.
picture of that through the podcast? That'd be
Sure.
cool.
Sure.
Nice.
Yeah, I can send that to you. So that was pretty fun.
Awesome. So Avalanche was all original music then?
No, because when we came in, like the Regime was like the model for us.
Okay.
The Regime is playing a bar, just like you play bars today when they want covers, they want 3 hours of music. Well, Regime would give them 2 hours of this and then an hour of their own stuff kind of mixed in. Back then, that's what a lot of bands did, or Minneapolis original music. They would put shows together and play just original music, and they would take over a VFW or an American Legion or an Armory, and they would do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'd get on to a national act at First Avenue or something like that, like Power Mad would do that. We followed the Regime model and went in, and we, at the time, 1993, we played thrash metal because it was huge.
Mm-hmm.
Headbangers Ball made Megadeth and Metallica and Slayer and Anthrax mainstream. So we were able to go in there and play all of those covers. Mm-hmm. We were the only band that was playing those covers at the time. And then we would write our own and throw them in there with them.
Nice.
So I don't know how many parties I would hang out at and it'd be like, oh yeah, we play that one. Yeah, we play that one. As the background music is going, yep, we play that one too.
Nice.
Yeah, we would show up and we're 20-year-old kids. We'd show up 4 days a week. We'd get there on Monday at practice with a show Saturday and go, let's learn that new Overkill song. All right, play it, learn it. Saturday night, we're playing it live.
Wow.
So, but that's all you did.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you practice once a week or not at all if you're in a cover band. Cover band's like, hey, learn this song. We'll try it at sound check.
Yeah.
Or once a week if you want to work on your harmonies or whatever. But back then, we would practice 4 nights a week, 5 nights a week, and then play on the weekends.
Wow.
It was fun.
And you were also like raising a small family at that point, yeah?
I had a daughter. Yeah, she used to come down to the studio and have the little gun headphones on,
Is that right?
pass out on the couch while we're playing thrash metal till 10 o'clock at night.
Is that right? Is she like that kind of music now as she's gotten older?
She is a music freak. She really is. I mean, she did take that from me, but she wanted her own.
Mm.
She didn't go thrash. She didn't go industrial or this. She went pop punk. She
Okay.
came up around the time of Green Day,
Right.
Good Charlotte.
So like the late 90s, early 2000s sort of era?
So that was her thing.
Yeah,
So, and
makes
she
sense.
still, I still see posts from her all the time where she just went to a concert here, a concert there. She enjoys the heck out of that stuff. That's her big thing.
Is she a musician as well?
No, she tried that for 2 weeks.
Okay.
I think I was a little too stringent with her. I said, you didn't even learn how to tune the thing yet. Put it down.
Yeah, I guess when you spent 5-6 nights a week practicing nonstop and you're like really dedicated to your craft, you probably have a slightly short amount of patience.
If I give you a lesson and I come back a week later and you haven't even touched the lesson, then why am I wasting my time?
Truth. Yeah.
Even if it's your own kid.
Yeah, even if
sadly.
it's your own kid. Yeah.
But she decided she wanted to be a fan, not a musician, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah, that's true. If we put music together and nobody's there to listen to it, it's not that great of a experience, is it?
And there's a lot of people just standing there like this, unless you're an actual fan.
Yeah.
You get nothing but musicians out in the crowd, and that's all you're looking at is people sitting there.
I was gonna say if it's other musicians, right? They're like, judging every note.
Well, I always say too, it's like I don't know if it's necessarily judging, but people that aren't musicians probably don't listen to music the same way. Like when I listen to music, without even trying, I'm dissecting it. Oh, I like that hi-hat. Oh, that's a cool kick drum pattern. Oh, that's a great bass line. So if I'm dissecting 19 different things in that song, I'm not going to be like this. I'm going to be like, what's that? Oh. I'm going to sit there with my arms crossed.
That's an excellent point. Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily judging or thinking my shit don't stink. I'm just listening to everything and trying to hear everything instead of just being able to enjoy it. And, maybe that's just 35 years of being that guy. I don't know. But
I think it's born a little bit in thrash too, because right in thrash music, you still have instrumental songs, or you have an instrumental break that's 8 minutes long, and the song before the vocals come back in. So you're not necessarily listening for the vocal message or the hook that's coming back in.
Yeah,
the hook can be the guitar riff. Or
that was one of the things about me when I wrote. I've heard a lot of bands, and I've even heard bands where the singer, once he starts singing, he doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Like every riff,
Deftones always
everything.
annoyed me that way. Like
When I listen to it, I would always think this riff is vicious. This has got to go a couple times before I even touch this. And then when we get to that middle mosh section, I'm like, that's going for 8 measures. I ain't touching that. I would write my hook. I would lay in my rhythmic cadence. I would get all those things, but especially with Wally Borgen. Wally Borgen wrote some of the most vicious riffs I had ever heard in thrash. And I'm not just saying that because it was my best friend right there, but he just did. Probably still does if he tried to. But to me, it was always the song, not just a vehicle for me to say whatever I needed to say. It was the song spoke to me on what I needed to say.
Rock on, man. So you started out then as a singer, but every video I've seen you in, you usually have a bass in your hand, if I'm not mistaken, right? So tell me how that do you play all the instruments in the band? Are you one of those guys that can pretty much sit in on any instrument? And
No, that'd be Tony Williams.
Tony Williams can definitely tear it up on everything. Yes, he can.
I played drums a little bit in my teens. I didn't want to carry all that shit. So I said no. I mean, I can keep a beat. I could probably get up on a jam and do most rock songs. I'm fine. But again, I just didn't want to carry all that stuff to shows. I'm not me. But my in was vocals, but I was always a guitar player inside. Wally was always the better guitar player, so therefore I just pivoted to bass. There was a couple songs near the end of Avalanche where I played bass on it because I really wanted to play bass. Let me play bass on a song. And I think we did Desperate Cry by Sepultura. And I played bass on that. And there's like some video of that somewhere out there. But that made me go, okay, I want to play bass. So when Avalanche ended, I didn't look for a vocal gig. I had an opportunity for a bass gig. I took that.
And what band was this?
Tempestuous.
Okay.
Technically, they wanted me to sing, but they didn't have a bass player. So I said, I want to play bass and sing. So we did that 3-piece for a while.
That's cool.
And that was fun. Yeah. And then we did that for a minute. We had some drummer issues that fell apart. And then I think I just wanted to do something different. So I just produced a couple of younger bands and just kind of helped them a little bit. There was a band called Third Element. They were kind of like a Linkin Park kind of thing. But when I met them, they were all 15 and 16, and they really were just learning their instruments. Like guitar tones were atrocious. The drummer hit a cymbal on the one of every beat. I was like, wow, this is... And they're like, what do you think we need to do? And I'm like, you really want me to tell you? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, okay, you need to stop hitting the cymbals and you need the little bass in your amp, and you need to cut that treble down a little bit. And we got there fairly quickly, and we recorded. I think it was like a 4 or 5 song EP at the time, and then they evolved into a band called Planet 86. But while I was doing that and really kind of finding myself again, then that's when the tempestuous thing happened. So it was kind of like intermittent with all that. After tempestuous, I stopped playing for a while again, and then I just sold my soul and joined a variety cover band.
Which band was that?
They were called 5 Minute Major.
Okay, I think are they still around? I think I've seen that name out there.
I think they broke up a year or two ago.
Okay, yeah.
At the time, it was okay. I'm gonna play Pink, and I'm gonna play, Meghan Trainor and all that stuff. And I didn't know if.
And then your wife would come to your shows.
I didn't know if I was gonna do it. I just was like, I'll give it a try, and it was fun to play in front of people while I was playing. Wasn't fun learning the songs. Wasn't fun. That band was challenging in a way because there was some things in there that didn't feel right to me. I think I was only in the band for like 6 to 8 months. I loved some of the guys. I didn't like some of the things that were going on in the band. We tried to maybe move away from the negative things in the band, but that didn't happen. And I just said, I just can't play bass in this band. I'm sorry. So I moved on. And then I joined up with the guys from Anthem and did that for a while.
Okay.
Anthem was nice because I was at a point where I was going to play songs that were huge hits, but not the number one hit. You're playing Journey, but you're not playing, Don't Stop Believin'. Maybe you're playing Separate Ways. Maybe you're, playing Stone in Love, but you're playing something a little different. And this was 9 years ago. So oddly enough, as we're starting to play all that stuff, all the other cover bands in town are starting to play that stuff again too, those types of songs. But we went with a 6-piece with keyboards and everything else so we could play it really, really well. That was still probably one of my favorite bands that I've been in because of that.
Nice. Yeah, Anthem's been around for quite a long time, right?
Yeah.
They were around for a bit before you started?
Correct.
Before
I think I was the 4th bass player.
Okay.
But when I joined and then we added Eric, the sometimes keyboard player, sometimes rhythm guitar player, moved over to just keys, and then Wes McCarty came in as a second lead player. The band really gelled at that point and really took off, and we had a good time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, which other bands have you been in? I know you're still in Hollywood Boulevard right now, right?
Hollywood Boulevard till the end of January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, let's stay on that topic first before we get into that next.
We're
getting in there, but yeah. So what other bands have you been?
So in 2004, let's go back to that. So Avalanche goes up to about 2000. Play around a little bit with producing. Then Tempestuous goes for a year and a half. And around 2004, I get back hanging out with Wally, and we decide we just want to have fun. So we put together one of the first tributes around here, and it was AC/DC tribute called TNT.
Okay.
So we did that, and we did that for about 8 years. Back then, it was like Zed Leplin, Ultimate Ozzy, TNT.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of tributes back then. We were one of the first.
Crazy.
tributes.
They're everywhere now, right?
Yeah.
You can't throw a rock without
I
a
mean-
tribute band.
Metallica previously won.
Yeah.
They were even after TNT.
Yeah.
So they came in after, and they played with us at a mock stock at the Myth in like 2009, I think. So yeah, so we were one of the first ones doing that. We did that for a good 8 years. Started out making $250 a night, ended making $1,500-1,600 a night, and it was pretty nice.
Yeah.
But then it got to a point where we were playing every weekend, and some people like to go fishing.
Yeah.
Some people like to hang out with their wives.
Yeah.
So things happen. It splits, and half the band, Wally was like, let's do this. He wanted to do some kind of grunge thing. But originally he was like, we were trying to think of something that we could do other than AC/DC and keep the core of the TNT guys together. And there was a Nickelback and Green Day thing that was discussed, and I said, well, we should call that Greenback, But that got voted out altogether. And then they really wanted to go into this grunge thing. So Wally and Jason from TNT formed Wicked Garden back then.
Aha. Yeah.
I did not like grunge.
Yeah.
I was not a grunge fan.
Is that right?
So I was like, I'm not going to go into Wicked Garden. So I took a little bit of
But
time.
I think you did. I think I saw some.
I filled in.
Okay.
I would fill in for them when they needed somebody. Because
Okay. You were never a permanent member in that band. Okay.
The offer almost came once, but I was too busy with other projects and I just didn't want to go. But when Wicked Garden formed and I didn't want to play grunge, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I knew I wanted to get another band going, maybe even a tribute band, but I didn't know what. Because once you've been in an AC/DC tribute where you've got 90 minutes of top 10 hits, you don't want to go into a band where maybe they had 3 hits.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to think of where I wanted to go, and then I came up with Foo Fighters.
Really?
Yeah, and
You were the originator in Foo Fighters.
Yes.
That's cool.
So I got Dennis Asher, Jason Zimmerman, and Lee Underwood.
Yeah, Lee. She's now going to be. They was going to be playing in Pink Taco, and then decided not to be in Pink Taco. But yeah, so I met her through that. And
Yeah.
Phenomenal drummer.
Great drummer.
Yeah.
So we did that for almost 13 years. And then again, we get to a point where it doesn't become the drive for that band anymore. We've all got other things going on. Musicians, and I've said this before, when you're a musician and you form a band and you start writing or you start learning and then you start playing out, there's always the next goal. There's always the next level. And then when you get to that point where now you're playing the same 3 hours, same 6 clubs, same money every 6 to 8 weeks, the little things that never bothered you start to really bother you. And that's when bands break up. That's when bands go their separate ways. And it has nothing to necessarily do with real friction. It's just there's no common goal anymore. There's no need anymore.
Sure.
I've got other things that I want and need to do, and this doesn't raise the bar anymore. But for other people in the band, maybe it still does. There's your conflict. There's your, creative differences, so to speak.
For sure.
So in some instances, that's where that stuff really changes. With Foo Fighters, it took 13 years for that because we love each other, still do. I got there very early at Spanbauer's benefit because I wanted to make sure I saw Pink Taco. I wanted to make sure I hung out with Lee because I don't see her very often, So that's a big thing. So Foo Fighters, we did that for 13 years. We just ended that last year.
Yeah, it's too bad. I never got a chance to see you guys.
Well,
That is the Foo Fighters is one of my favorite bands from that era.
oh, right on.
So yeah,
Well, maybe I'll throw you a video. You can take a look at it.
that sounds great.
There's some stuff in there. So Foo Fighters gets you up to really present. I mean, there was Anthem in there in that interim. There was obviously Hollywood Boulevard. Hollywood Boulevard was weird because when Anthem disbanded in 22, Jeff called me and was like, hey, I want you in Hollywood Boulevard. And at the time I was like, dude, I just ended with Anthem. I need a minute before I just turn around and start going. So they got Johnny Deshay in there for a year. And then Johnny needed a fill-in for a couple of gigs, and I filled in, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm ready if you need someone. So that's how that happened, and I got in there and been there for the last 2 years. I don't think I'm missing much other than like original music. I mean, Tony Williams and I were in a band for 17 years.
Really?
Nopathy.
Wow.
So, but that again was like, it was like the Wednesday hang. We would all hang out and we would talk music and think about music and occasionally write stuff. I mean, we were together for 17 years. I think we wrote 12 songs because it was more about just the creativeness of it and the guys getting together and talking and sharing ideas. And the stuff we wrote is pretty impressive to me still to this day. So I consider that I've had a pretty fun career, that I've got to write original music that to me is still valid. And then I got to play in cover bands with a bunch of people and have some fun.
No smiling.
Crawling closer to our fate, unfolding their fate, and trust to the thrill. What
Yeah, cool. So that kind of segues nicely, right? So you said January is the last show.
Yeah.
Why?
To be honest, it's like when you're a kid, you want to go on tour. You want to be a rock star. You want to go out and you want to play everywhere and live on the road and do all the things and see all the things. When you're 55 years old, every weekend, 3 hours a night, 3 hours from home. I love the guys I'm jamming with, but I love my house better. You know, it's like I've seen all these things. I've done all these things. There's not a lot of new things for me. And Hollywood Boulevard is a very busy band.
Is that right?
In this last year, we did over 60 shows.
Wow.
This year that was coming up, I'm sure is going to be 60 or more. Jeff loves to work, and there's nothing wrong with that. But this summer especially, yeah, I tweaked my back in like April and went the entire summer, and still now with a bad back, trying to lug all my gear, get it on stage, stand there for 3 hours, try to be entertaining, then lug all my gear back into my vehicle, drive 2 hours home, and almost cry as I'm getting into bed because I'm in such pain. And then on Sunday, I sleep through the whole damn day to try and recover. Go back to my day job.
Yeah.
So it's not that I have any issues with anybody. You know, I've had a couple of people reach out to me like, oh, dude, before you retire, let's put this together and do one or two shows. I'm like, guys, seriously, the end of January, I'm done. You know, if I really want to get on a stage and really need to feel that, I'll go to a jam. I'll play somebody else's bass for 7 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll be good.
The jams are kind of cool as a drummer, just be able to show up with a pair of sticks and be able to sit down. I don't have to do anything. You know, that's
You're also lucky as a drummer. You have to battle with maybe 3 other people to play songs. As a bass player, there's 15 bass players at that jam. I show up and they're like, oh, no, I'm playing those three. I'm playing these two. I'm playing that one. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just sit and watch, have fun. So, but that's my big thing is just it's time where every gig is just beating the hell out of me. And the podcast, like we talked about earlier, for me, Stunner Stage started out, I just wanted to have a conversation with a friend of mine. And that conversation turned into 24 different conversations. Sometimes I get a couple of people that are in a band together to talk to each other and learn more about each other. It's just a different animal now, and I think I'd like to spend more time doing that.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I saw the episode with Tank and Megabeth.
Okay, yeah.
And then I just watched your latest one, just doing a little studying before you came in. I actually already forgot the guy's name, but it was the last one that you did. It was he has his own heavy metal podcast as well.
Oh, Greg Chilton.
Greg Chilton, yeah. So the name I know I've seen out there, and I know of Greg Chilton, but I've never met him before. So
there's somebody you should have on the show.
Is that right?
You think I've got depth? That man's got depth. Good guy too. So
what band or bands has he played in that you can remember?
Well, originally there was a band called Lobotomy that he was in when he was like 16, 17, and I was called over to try and replace him.
Is that right?
The drummer was having issues with him at the time, so unbeknownst to me, I was going over to try out for a band, and he was there. And I was like, I thought you were looking for a singer. You got a singer right there. And we were both kind of like in a weird spot, like, what the heck? Next thing you know, I'm going with them while they're taking band photos and hanging out with them the whole day. And it was a weird thing, but we clicked from that day on, and we've been friends ever since.
That's cool.
You know? So Lobotomy was his first. Then there was Necromus. Then there was Sublevel 13, which became Sublevel. And then Outside the Murder is like a more recent one, but he's kind of retired from playing too.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
It happens when you get old.
Well, cool, man. Well, I mean, I always like to wrap these up by asking who would be a great guest to have on. It sounds like Greg Chilton would be a great guest. You have anybody else in mind that you think?
See if you can get Wally Borgen to talk. He's
Borgen?
a shy guy, but if you can get him to talk, it'd be fun.
He's got some depth and stories to tell, huh?
35 years of playing in this town.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, awesome, man. Well, I do look forward to kind of getting some of that music from you. I'd love to listen to it. Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
I need to like scope all this stuff out and like get your spec sheet.
Brother, come over and use the studio if you want to, free of charge. If you, I mean, and you got your own comfortable place to do it. But if you ever wanted to just come in here and use the gear and use the spot, you're more than welcome to.
We will talk.
Cool.
That's been my biggest challenge with Stunner Stage is just doing it all by myself. Yeah. And I'm just coming over a year now with that. I've done 24 episodes. I've released 22 of them. I've got Brian from HBK from Hairball. That's the last one I'm doing right now, is getting that one done. But it's just a challenge trying to edit it and put it all together and make sure the sound's good, light's good, all those things are good. Then you put it out there.
Amen. Editing is such a beast.
Yeah, this is a great setup. So,
well, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for the invite.
Pretty proud of it, and I'm glad you came over. Good to meet you. And
Wait